Ricky, baby, I hope you're sitting down. Good, 'cause listen, me and the boys read the book and we loved it. We'll make one hell of a shark flick that'll blow jaws right out of the water, but we need to make some changes, Ricky, so listen. We got too many towns here, too many people involved. Audiences won't keep up, except for the nerds, but this ain't Lord of the Rings here, Ricky. So all the attacks, here, one town, that's all you need. Next, we need a nice looking leading man, like, Tom Cruise. Can we get Cruise? Alright, we'll get someone cheaper. Last, we need some kind of crusty captain who knows all about the sharks in Jersey and undercut with some egghead fish professor to play off on. What do you think, Ricky?
Wouldn't that be a rip-off of Jaws?
Whoa, 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 Ricky. We never use those words in the business. We don't rip off. We're inspired by, and that's what this is, Ricky. The real story is what we're telling. The real story. And if anything, Jaws is ripping our story off. Remember that.
Yeah, but...
I'll tell you what, Ricky, if you shut your trap right now, I'll make you a producer. How's that sound?
Shark!
Shark?
Shark!
Go and shed your winter coat. Go and put your life vest on. When you go into the sea, you'll see a cuddly, cuddly, cuddly shark. Cuddly, cuddly, cuddly shark.
Shark!
This month, Discovery Channel will be airing Shark Week, something I looked forward to so much as a kid, but over the last couple years, Shark Week changed into something that I just couldn't, airing fake documentaries and vile publicity stunts. You hurt me, Discovery Channel. You might as well be airing Sharknado marathons at this point, but it's not just the channel though. In 2007, David Zaslav, who worked for NBC, became the new CEO of Discovery Communications, which covers Discovery, Animal Planet, The Learning Channel, Oprah Winfrey Network, The Science Channel, Velocity, and the Eurosport Network. Under Zaslav, Discovery focused more on the capital gain than on education, with 2008 airing the much-loved-to-hate show Tylos and Tiaras on the Learning Channel. Since then, Discovery Network focused more on reality shows than documentaries. It was good for ratings, but 2013, Discovery jumped the shark with their coverage of the prehistoric megalodon possibly still living in the ocean, and later we got Animal Planet's fictional documentary on mermaids, eventually having the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration actually issuing a statement after numerous calls were made by people thinking the documentary was real. Executives heard the outcry from fans and scientists over the years, and last year's Shark Week definitely improved, but with still some sensationalism that still needs to be worked on. Just no dinosaur sharks. So, there's that. In 2004, Discovery produced 12 Days of Terror, based on the book of the same name by Dr. Fernicola. It had since aired on both Animal Planet and Discovery Channel. During the early 1900s, the Jersey Shore was going through an economic boom. A generation into the Industrial Revolution sparked both a mass movement into the cities and mass immigration into the country. This created a new lifestyle that allowed even the poorest Americans at least one afternoon off a week. The Jersey Shore was looked on as a getaway from the congestions of the city as beach bathing became a new activity. Some, like Atlantic City, advertised themselves as a health spot for the wealthy elite, while some places like Atlantic City, a decade later, focused on providing a getaway for the working class. But that's for another time. 1916 found itself in the middle of a polio epidemic that was spreading out from those same cities, making the Jersey Shore a well-sought-for spot. This was a year after the RMS Lusitania was torpedoed by German U-boats, killing over 100 Americans, which didn't bring America into the First World War, but weariness of isolationism were brewing. It wasn't uncommon, though, to see German captains dining in the same hotels along the coast this year. This massive group of people coming to the beach also coincided with a massive group of sharks. This is theorized from either the Spanish-American War in 1898 and the First World War naval ships impacting the shark's ecosystem, an increase in commercial fishing affecting fish populations, or the El Nino effect, causing the water temperature to warm up. Whichever the causes, 1915 and 16 were dubbed shark years due to all the sightings. The book and movie follow a series of fatal shark attacks along the Jersey coast between July 1st and July 12th in 1916, resulting in 4 deaths and 1 injury. Prior to these attacks, there wasn't much known about sharks. Theories range from their bite pressure unable to sever bone to the unlikelihood of them ever attacking a person at all unprovoked, especially in the upper Atlantic coast. The attacks themselves make up only about 100 pages of a nearly 300-page book. We're given the history of shark attacks, the different species of sharks and their physiology, and the possible theories that revolve around the sharks responsible for the attacks. You could say the book focuses less on the attacks themselves and goes off on strange tangents that don't actually pertain to the story it's trying to tell. I mean, who does that? The movie opens up the way all movies based on true stories do, making sure you know what you're watching is based on a true story. We do get an accurate look of the New Jersey boardwalk 100 years ago, with everyone wearing period-appropriate clothes and bathing suits, including an activity called fanny dunking. It doesn't take long for the first attack to happen in the film, and it plays very accurate. The movie all takes place in the town of Matawan. That will be an issue I'll explain later, but in real life, Beach Haven, New Jersey, Charles Van Zant was playing with a dog on the beach when he went into the water and was attacked. Or he's just splashing around. In real life, the first attack was reported with little notice, but there wasn't much dispute about it being a shark, with eyewitnesses seeing the animal attacking Van Zant.
A lot of people who are nowhere near the place can give you all kinds of gory eyewitness details.
That is Alex Ott, played by professional Tom Cruise lookalike Collins Eglefield. The real Alex Alt was the lifeguard that pulled Van Zant out of the water. He tore off a woman's bathing suit skirt to make a tourniquet. Van Zant was then brought into the nearby hotel where he bled to death on the manager's desk instead of the couch like in the movie.
Nobody's asking you to take this on your shoulders.
Except the movie does. Where real-life Alex was involved in the first attack, only the writers made him the main character, giving him personal connections to every single one of the victims, making this less like Jaws and more like Jaws for the Revenge.
And you explain it all
No, I don't have to.
to Danny Bruder's family.
There was never a Danny Bruder. Charles Bruder was a bell captain at a hotel in Spring Lake and was the second victim on July 6th. In the movie, Danny Bruder was a lifeguard in Matawan. That will be an issue I'll explain later. Both died from similar injuries, having their legs bitten off, bleeding to death in a lifeguard boat. Bruder's death had more witnesses, and his injuries being more graphic, the press had a field day. This led to the beach towns along the coast to put up steel nets to protect the swimmers. Then on July 12th, Captain Cottrell was walking on the Matawan Bridge to fish where he spotted a storm petrel. As he looked down, he saw a shark swimming up the creek. He tried to warn the townsfolk, but they didn't believe him. He climbed into his boat and tried to prevent anyone swimming in the creek, but he was too late to stop 11-year-old Lester Stillwell from swimming with his friends. Lester was dragged under while his friends ran through town screaming for help. The townsfolk at first thinking it was Lester's epilepsy. They went to the creek hoping to save him in time. I don't have a joke for this. It's a small child being killed by a shark. I can't make a joke about child suffering.
That's our philosophy here at Camp Green Lake.
So some of the townsfolk dive into the water trying to retrieve Lester's body. Stanley Fisher, a tailor in Matawan, was attacked and became the last fatal victim. He made it to shore but sadly died from his injuries in Monmouth Memorial Hospital, approximately 15 miles away. 30 minutes after Stan was attacked, a witness was shouting about a shark coming for another group of boys swimming on the creek. According to eyewitnesses, they saw what was first thought to be a piece of driftwood. I don't think they were talking about the shark puppet's wooden acting.
A lot of people who are nowhere near the place can give you all kinds of gory eyewitness details.
Oh, shut up, Alex. Not. Joseph Dunn was saved from his friends holding on to him, and Captain Cottrell coming by in his boat in time. Joseph survived with an injury to his leg. There's been some inaccuracies here and there during the scenes in Matawan Creek, but all around pretty accurate. Alex was never at the other attacks other than the one on July 1st. Stanley was helped out of the water by the deputy of Monmouth County Detective Office. And as much as it was sensationalized in the movie, there wasn't a great spiral in New Jersey's beach towns economy. Shark nets were brought in along the coast and the beaches were still filled. Now with the bounty on the shark, a new business boomed of fishermen bringing in sharks with fake stories of finding human remains in the stomach. Journalists and photographers coming into town, becoming a media circus. I can forgive the little details, but this one glaring bit. In the film, all the attacks happen on the beaches of Matawan, New Jersey. But here's the thing. Matawan doesn't have a beach. Matawan is 16 miles inland. Matawan was a small Midwestern-like town that relied on a brick manufacturing plant. This leads to so many issues. The town's barber was also the chief of police in the film, which was historically accurate, but how can one cop who works only part-time as a cop be able to keep the peace in a big, sprawling coastal town? How can he keep the peace when the frickin' president visited the town on July 4th? He didn't. Why doesn't anyone believe Captain when days before you had 2 attacks already, when it wasn't even believed a shark could even kill a person? It made sense before when you have attacks spanning nearly 80 miles apart. And we're in a town that, again, is 16 miles through a bay and a creek.
Sorry, my best friend is gonna die. This train is gonna be in Asbury Park.
Why? Why make this change? Why make the train ride 15 miles longer? What's in Asbury that's so important? This one detail about Matawan is just
The dumbest idea I've ever heard in my entire life!
Maybe I'm a little harsh. Can I really beat down a movie that's essentially just a period piece Jaws? I know movies don't have to be insanely accurate. This isn't a documentary, but that text in the front makes the impression that what you're seeing is more true, especially because it was aired on the Discovery Channel, like if 300 was aired on the History Channel. But they did get the time period right. The injuries, some of the victims' names. The Matawan Creek attacks were very accurate, even though some tiny details were changed. If you're interested in the story of the attacks that inspired Peter Benchley to write Jaws, I suggest this book. But the movie is out of print, so I don't recommend shelling nearly $40 for this. The movie ends with a voiceover, and it got the rest of the story right, so there's that.
Only young Joseph Dunn survived. 2 months after the attack, he walked out of the hospital with his brother Michael, a pair of crutches, and the limp he'd have for the rest of his life.
Joseph left the hospital with 2 legs, a limp that he would outgrow. Son of a...
Put your life vest on when you go into the sea. You'll see a cuddly, cuddly, cuddly shark. Cuddly, cuddly, cuddly shark.